If it means stopping Varney's vampire hordes and saving the Marvel Universe from an endless darkness, what will Earth's mightiest heroes need to sacrifice to get the job done? Well, let's hop into the pages of Blood Hunt issue number 5, the grand finale of this event, and find out what happens next together, shall we? So then, this issue actually picks up with Doctor Strange and Clea mere moments after Victor Von Doom told them that the only way they could return the sun and end the endless vampire night is if Doctor Doom himself was finally allowed to become Sorcerer Supreme, which he totally has in What Ifs and other such non-continuity stories. Obviously, Clea thinks this is a goddamn terrible idea, but Steven unfortunately believes that this is their best hope. And because Doctor Strange is technically not amongst the living right now, it's actually fairly easy to turn the power over to Victor, including a small piece of his own soul, much like he did with Clea before. Steven does, however, make Victor swear that once everything is done and the world is saved, he will return this power, and Doom does indeed give him his word, the word of Doom. Now, while all that is going on over at the Cathedral of the First Sin, the Avengers are doing everything in their power to try and turn back Varney and his evil forces. Scarlet Witch is freed, and her amazing chaos magic will come in clutch during the rest of this fight. Furthermore, Varney, in a nice bit of continuity, actually very much remembers Thor, as the two had actually crossed paths a long time ago in the pages of an old Marvel Presents, and man, you gotta love that Jed MacKay goes that extra mile to remind readers about stuff just like this. In fact, Varney says out of all the Avengers, he hates Thor the most because unlike all the other mere children of which he is forced to deal, Thor is a god. And yet he is so thoroughly lacking in the perspective that comes with eternity. Thor valiantly battles against the vampire god while waiting for Mjolnir to return to him from space, and Vision also puts up an incredibly tough fight, almost single-handedly taking down a couple different members of the Blood Coven himself, despite the fact that with no sun around, the amazing Synthoid's batteries are slowly but surely ticking down. All of this is really just an appetizer though, because the only real way that Varney will be vanquished without also having to kill every other good-natured vampire on Earth along with him is if Briella, Blade's own daughter and bloodline, has what it takes to slay her father. Dracula, the hero's unlikely ally, have been gassing up Briella to get this done all throughout their own little tie-in series, but Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, Briella's friend, has also tagged along, in hopes that whatever hard decision might have to come to pass for his friend, she won't have to do it alone, which is very sweet on Miles's part. It's here we enter into the big finale, which is two-pronged. We see Sorcerer Supreme Doom, backed up by all the kids of Strange Academy, attempt to pull off a feat of magic never before seen. Doom will lead a ritual and weave together all the different colors of magic in an attempt to close the Dark Force dimension portals that are bleeding darkness into the prime material world and keeping the sun at bay, while the rest of the United Hero Front tries to buy him some time. It's here that Moon Knight and his fellow warriors of Khonshu make the scene. And I mean, hey, can Earth's Mightiest Heroes really stay mad at him for the whole trying to take over the world thing that he did once before now that he's here actively trying to save it? The big problem is that Varney is more than just a vampire, he's a straight up god of elemental darkness, and everything they throw at him just completely sloughs off like it was nothing. Even Thor going full Odin Force and hitting him with all of his lightning seems to do nothing. The Avengers all get caught up in Varney's vast, ever-extending tendrils, and it looks like it might be lights out for all of them when at that very moment Briella ends up swooping on in and stabbing the possessed Blade in the heart. Unfortunately, it looks like this isn't going to be enough. The evil vampire god has been in the Daywalker's body for too long now, and even if Bloodline was Blade's progeny, it's not going to be enough to take him out. Thankfully though, Briella doesn't have to do this alone, as Miles is very much on her side and paying off what we've seen before. Miles actually was bitten by Varney, meaning that he's his bloodline too, giving this final attack the extra oomph it needs to actually be effective. And with the vampire god's hold on the physical world weakened, Doom is finally able to pull off this amazing ritual, returning sunlight to the world. The Blood Coven run off, Varney is captured, and Iron Man is able to use the built-in crash cart inside his very suit to save Blade, meaning that he doesn't have to die for everyone's sins in this event, which is honestly a refreshing change of pace from how these things usually play out. Miles is actually still a vampire though, even after everything is said and done, but don't worry, as the sun rises, it doesn't actually burn his skin, because it's seems that the universe has been very much affected by the events of this story. Dracula says that because certain vampires rose up to try and save the light has now opted to no longer curse them. Want to know more about that? Be sure to pick up the new Miles book when it drops. But hey, we're not done yet, because this ending would be way too neat and tidy if it stopped right there. Doctor Strange comes to Doom and asks him to return the Sorcerer's supreme powers now that the threat has ended, only for Victor to expectedly and inevitably betray the old Sorcerer Supreme by saying that he would only give the powers back once he saved the world. The vampires may have been defeated, but as far as Victor is concerned, the world is still not saved. Nor will it be until he's allowed to finish his great works that are still yet to come. Why, as the comic comes to a close, Victor even puts out a message for everyone in the world to hear. He takes sole credit for the defeat of the vampires and the return of the light before finally introducing himself to the world as their brand new Sorcerer Supreme. A superior Sorcerer Supreme, if you will. We're also left with the implication, too, that all of this nonsense with the vampires might very well have been puppeteered by Victor from the shadows to make all of this happen. And so that was Blood Hunt issue number 5, everybody. A decently enjoyable finale to a decently enjoyable, if no frills, Marvel comic book event. I suppose really the worst thing I can say about this story, now that it's all said and done, is that everything that happened in the event itself seemed to really only be table setting for stuff that will be coming later. Which again is not necessarily a bad thing, it's quintessentially comics, though I do find it kind of hilarious that they built this up as the biggest Blade event, the biggest Moon Knight event, and by the end of it all, people are only going to be talking about Doctor Doom. Which, man alive, the timing of these events sure do end up looking really interesting now in retrospect, given the fact that we know that next year's big Marvel event will be a Doom event, and that Doctor Doom, played by the returning Robert Downey Jr., is already primed to be the next big bad guy of the next 2 upcoming Avengers movies. Looks like we're going to be getting a lot of Doom across all of Marvel multimedia, and I guess if they're going to do it, they might as well pull the trigger now by making him Sorcerer Supreme. Beyond that, there's really not much more to say about Blood Hunt. I'm glad Blade got to live, and it looks like he's going to continue his adventures elsewhere. Same with Miles being a vampire, and vampires in general no longer being affected negatively by the sun. There's certainly a lot of material there to glean should they want to do it. Overall, I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7 out of 10. Better than average, and certainly a lot better than I thought it was going to be coming into it, though certainly not an event I'm probably going to revisit again anytime soon. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow, and help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.